So basically, I think it's important to understand as well the technology involved. In order for us to get these, which I call little gravitational lasers, these crystals to do what they do, we actually have to grow the crystal in laboratory in very pure environment. And then the crystal is delivered to us with very precise molecular alignment. That is, the geometry of the crystal, the dimension of the crystal, and the geometry of the crystal is maintained across the molecular growth, so that we are able to identify very specifically the axes of the tetrahedral structure of the molecular structure of the crystal itself. And then we cut the crystal in a very precise way. This is why it took so long from 1999 to now for me to be able to put this on the market. To be able to produce a large amount of them, and we can only produce 1,000 a month at this point. So, you know, they're going to become rare as well. But the crystal has to be cut very precisely so that it's a harmonic relationship between the crystal, the molecules of the crystal, and the Planck scale oscillators. So very precisely cutting crystals is not obvious, and it's only very recently that we can have the level of precision that I was requiring to be able to put it on the market. And then the crystal is placed inside a titanium, what I call a saddle, and inside the saddle is micro bumpers that are silicone based, that allows the crystal to oscillate even if it's placed in your hand or placed on the surface, so that it's always suspended, and as well that protects the crystal if you drop it, because it was very easy to drop the crystal and crack it, and you didn't want decoherency in the structure of the molecules of the crystal. So I had to make sure that the crystal could be even, like, we did drop tests, we threw it against the walls and so on, and so it can resist. It's very much shock resistant at this point. And then there is an arrangement of micromagnets, very strong micromagnets that are inside the armature as well, so that the metrics can be built between crystal, and that it can pop into various devices. And when you put them together between crystals, you can put them face to face, and if you got 10 of them, now you got a DNA strand. And if you actually put them edge to edge, then you get the isotropic vector metric, or the geometric structure of space-time. And it does create a coherent field in its surrounding. We can measure that field by the impact that it has on the water molecule around it, and then the impact that the water molecule has on biology and on biological capacities to absorb the water molecule. The plants grow 300 to 400% faster because they're absorbing the water at a much larger rate, which carries as well nutrients to the plant. And so the water becomes bioavailable. And you know, the amazing thing with water is that first of all, aging is really a decoherency of the water molecule in the cell structures, so that the cell become decoherent and they have a hard time continuing to divide appropriately. So there's a stop of the divisions, and because there's decoherency in the water molecule. Now, I've been saying this for a very long time, and recently, really exciting data was able to be visualized and found in laboratory, and that is that water molecules are actually modulating the DNA, not the other way around. That is, the DNA maps to the water, to RNA, and as it unzip and rezip, we tried for many years to try to figure out what is telling the DNA to do what it does. And now in a paper that was published at the Academy of Science, there is results in which we are able to actually see that the water molecule is what is modulating the DNA strand, and that it is this modulation of the water. So the water is not just a neutral medium that biology seemed to float in some kind of miracle of random function bumping against each other and making complex systems like 100 trillion cells that makes up a human body. But actually, water is directing the way molecules interact and cells interact in order to produce the biological coherence. And this is why life emerged from water. So being able to maintain a high level of coherency in the water molecule is key to health, is key to life extension, it's key to as well having the highest level of coherency you can have. And so I'm really looking forward to getting all this out, and then getting the feedback from people out there, and seeing the results as well. The crystals, creating a little coherent field around them. You can imagine, as we distribute thousands and thousands of these crystals around the world, we're basically lighting up the grid. We're basically, energizing the morphogenetic field of the planet by having the crystal, by wearing the crystal, by interacting with it. And so really we're looking at all working together to light up the grid. And that's another aspect that's really exciting.